Welcome back, this is part 3 of What Happened to the Terminator series. Terminator 2 could not have had a more definitive ending. While the first Terminator did somewhat leave it open for a sequel, Terminator 2 really did all it could to wrap up the storyline. Both Cyberdyne and its creator were completely destroyed. All the remains of the Terminator were obliterated, therefore completely and utterly eliminating all traces of Skynet. Furthermore, the film completes all the story and character arcs, with Sarah and John's relationship coming full circle, their trials and tribulations put to rest. So you couldn't imagine my surprise when I heard that a new Terminator film was being made, titled Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. Well, with a title like that and the fact that it couldn't be a sequel to Terminator 2, there was only one explanation of what the film would be about. It would have to be a prequel set in the future war that depicted the origins of the machines' war on mankind and the birth of the human resistance. Just imagine a film that would complete the backstory to the Terminator franchise, showing the birth of Skynet, Judgment Day, the onslaught of the robot army, and the rise of the resistance. I couldn't wait. But then I saw the trailers, and I started to get a bit worried. It turned out, no, it's not going to be a prequel. Instead, it's going to be a straight up sequel that takes place in modern day 2003, despite the fact that Judgment Day was supposed to happen in 1997. So while I was starting to get a bit nervous, I rationalised that since it had been so long since the last Terminator film, that would have to be ample time to come up with a good idea for a new take on the series. Surely they could come up with some new and fresh take on the series to inject new life into this franchise. No, they couldn't. Terminator 3 is a complete and utter rehash of Terminator 2. To say that it treads old ground puts it too lightly. This film may as well be a remake of the last film. Don't believe me? Well, here's a quick plot summary. The film opens with footage of the future war set to narration by the Connors. We cut back to modern day where two Terminators are being sent back in time. One is a liquid metal Terminator sent to kill John Connor, while the other is an Arnie-bot reprogrammed by the Resistance to save him. The liquid metal Terminator kills a cop and steals his gun, while the Arnie-bot enters a bar, beating up a man to steal his black leather clothes, sunglasses, and shotgun. Both Terminators close in on John Connor at the same time, which leads to a fight between the two that escalates into a car chase across town, with John Connor in the lead, followed by the liquid metal Terminator in a truck and Arnie riding a motorcycle. The Arnie-bot saves John and his significant woman. They go to hide in the desert. There they arm themselves using one of Sarah's gun caches and set out to destroy Skynet before its inception, getting into a shootout with police along the way. Soon after the man responsible for building Skynet gets shot, the liquid metal Terminator catches up with them, resulting in a climactic showdown where Arnie-bot is seemingly killed. However, Arnie-bot comes back at the last minute to kill the liquid metal Terminator in a fire explosion, sacrificing himself to save the day! As if that wasn't enough, there's also the problem that unlike the last two Terminator films, Terminator 3 doesn't take itself seriously. It's a self-parody. Stupid one-liners and goofy slapstick are rife throughout the film.
Talk to the hand.
More so, it copies scenes from Terminator 2, but then tries to play them for laughs, putting humorous twists on them. For example, they parody the bar scene in Terminator 2, where the Terminator enters a biker bar and steals a man's clothes and sunglasses. Except this time, it's a gay bar, and he's wearing gay glasses. Hilarious, right? Right? No, it's stupid. It's Alien Resurrection all over again. How am I supposed to take the film seriously if it won't even take itself seriously? It's also worth noting that this film is not directed by James Cameron. The film is instead directed by a man named Jonathan Mostow, and you can really tell. Not because he's a bad director per se, but because the film seems to lack the perfectionism that the Cameron films had. James Cameron actually had no involvement in this project, and Arnold Schwarzenegger only agreed to reprise his role if he was paid an amount of money that James Cameron would technically describe as a shitload. But you know who didn't reprise the role? Linda Hamilton. And no Linda Hamilton means no Sarah Connor. As a result, Sarah's character is killed off screen no less. There's one or two lines of dialogue explaining what happened to her, and then that's it. She's never mentioned or even thought of again. The main character of the series, the one we invested so much emotion in, the one who this entire damn series is supposed to be about, is just written out. What a cop-out. So who do we have instead? Well, we have Nick Stahl as John Connor and Claire Danes as Kate Brewster. Well, there's nothing wrong with their acting. They're actually rather well cast and both do a good job with the material they've been given. The only problem is, they're not really given that much to work with. Neither character really has much development or growth throughout the film. All they really do is just run from action piece to action piece, trying not to get killed.
Get in! You want to live? Come on!
As for the Terminators, Arnold Schwarzenegger reprises his role as another Arnie-bot. While it is curious that a series of robots can somehow grow older over the course of 3 films, Arnold nevertheless brings his A-game to the film and manages to steal the show. He's easily the most compelling role in the film.
She'll be back.
We've also got Christina Loken as the evil Terminator, known as the TX or Terminatrix, who is basically a conventional robotic Terminator but with liquid metal skin and inbuilt weaponry. Unfortunately, she doesn't really seem to be any more threatening than the T-1000, nor that much more of a technological advancement. The T-1000 really was a genuine character itself, but the TX on the other hand is obviously just there for sex appeal, dressed in skin-tight clothing, and even appearing to orgasm when it's completing its objectives. I find it almost insulting to my intelligence, like the writers figured they didn't need to make her a compelling villain if they just made her sexy. And besides, they want me to be turned on by a sadistic homicidal robot? I'm sorry, but she's not quite my type. I like chicks who, don't kill people. There are a number of writing issues in the film as well. Terminator 3 manages to contradict the point of the last 2 films. While in Terminator 2 the characters fought to change the future, Terminator 3 makes it clear that the future is inevitable, making the plot of Terminator 2 rather pointless in retrospect. However, it somehow turns out that you can delay fate but not change it. I don't see how that makes any sense. In this film, they establish that the Terminators run on small hydrogen fuel cells that if damaged will result in a nuclear explosion. If that's the case, why didn't the Terminators from the first 2 films explode when they were killed? How can one Terminator hold up a several ton blast door with one hand, even though an industrial press could flatten one from the first film? How do they manage to waltz into an Air Force base fully armed and get into those awesome shootouts without anyone noticing? How can the TX hack cars to do her bidding, resulting in this amazing car chase? How doesn't the crane arm buckle when it smashes through this building with Arnie on the end? Fucking hell, the action in this movie is awesome! The city car chase where the Terminators are chasing John has some of the best stunts I have seen in years. So many flips and spins and jumps and crashes and explosions on the street, over cars, through buildings. It's a spectacle. The bathroom fight between the 2 Terminators is a real treat. Everything in the room is absolutely destroyed in their attempts to take each other out. Oh, watch out, here comes the toilet. Oh mate, that's gross. If you want to see shit get blown up, cars get crashed, guys get thrown through walls, punch-ups and shootouts, robot brawls, then this is the movie for you. Boom, boom, fucking boom, mate! The effects in the film are again amazing. Once again, we have the unstoppable collaboration between Stan Winston and Industrial Light and Magic. No one holds a candle to these guys. Stan Winston and his team actually created full-scale animatronic replicas of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Christina Loken for the use in the film's more dangerous stunts. And honestly, I can't tell which of the scenes these were used in. They're that good. The CGI, while okay, far from photorealistic, nevertheless looks great, and thankfully only appears in the film when it had to. And to give credit where credit's due, while the self-parody is a bitch, I found myself laughing at the jokes. I still don't think the self-parody was the right direction to take the series, but at least the movie had the decency to be funny. And the ending does feature an unexpected twist. Sorry to spoil, but it was kind of a shock to see our heroes actually fail their mission at the end instead of pulling through. At the end of the day, my biggest complaint about the film is that it's not terrible, but rather that it's a letdown. We've come off 2 brilliant films, a couple of the best films ever made, and now only to get a movie that's just mediocre. The movie probably would have fared better if it were a standalone film instead of another sequel, but as is, it's just okay. Not good, not bad, just okay. Well, tune in next week, we're going in a completely new direction. We're looking at Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles.